Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Red Tail Plan channel. Today I wanted to take a look at this new BYROW LAMBDA function that Google's pushed out and show an example where this could be really handy. So this is a set of test scores, and I'd like to get an average of the test score for each row. So my normal way of doing this would be to type my equals average. It's already suggesting A3 to D3, and so I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And then I could try, or I could, take that and I could go ahead and double click that down. Well, that's handy. There's my average by row, and notice there's a formula in each one of the rows to do that. I often like to try to apply array formula, so I write the formula once. I don't have to copy it down. So in other words, if I had some other numbers, let me just randomly grab some numbers here, copy them and paste them down here. I'd have to double click my row down there to get that in there again. So I like to have an array formula, but average is one of those that doesn't work with an array formula. So if I take this and copy it and come over here and paste it, obviously I'm going to get the same information, but if I apply it to an array, all of A3 to D, and then wrap it in a array formula function, notice that's actually not correct. I don't know if you ever notice when you go ahead and create formulas, it changes to the Inconsolata font. I just hit the command on a Mac, command \, and that deletes the formatting. But notice right now that is 50.98, and if I were to take and highlight all of this, notice that's the average right there, because what the array formula is doing there is incorrect. It's applying the average to the entire set of data, and that's not really what we want. I want to apply it by row. So this works fine, but you have to copy it down. And what I want to do here is use the new by row function. So this is equal to by row, and I'm going to select a range here, and I'm going to leave this range open in this case, and I'm going to say average A3 to D, and then I'm going to put in the lambda. And in this case, the lambda is going to be R for row, comma, and then the formula is going to be average, and we'll just go ahead and be able to pull down the average of R and close that out, and close out my lambda, and close out my by row. And when I do that, now with a single formula, I have the data that I need. Now, if I put any data in here, notice I get an average. So if I put in 13 and 13, obviously I'm going to get that 13 and 10, I get 11.5. So as I add data now with my lambda, my BYROW LAMBDA formula, I can fill this out. Now, I don't want to see these div zeros, so I can get rid of that by wrapping this average with an if error, and that average, if error average, and then I believe we're going to want to put a comma here. Oops, we got to fix that. Have to be careful where you put the comma. I had the comma in the wrong place, so you have to look at your parentheses. That's my by row, that's my lambda, and that's my if error, and then that's going to be my average. So now that I got that correct, notice if I add more data here, 12, 56, 32, there I'm coming up with my averages. Now I could take this and round this, or I could apply a rounding function to the whole row. So let's see how you would do that. And when we get the round, so when we look at our lambda R, and then what the lambda is the average of R, but we're wrapping that average in a round to two places. Notice if I change this to one place, it'll change it to that. And then we wrap that with an if error so that now I can add a column of numbers. Let me just grab a column of numbers real quick, copy those, and paste them anywhere down here. And we're going to get that average wherever we do that. So a quick example of how you might use the BYROW function. Here's the formula, BYROW. And in this case, we're looking at A to D, A3 to D, and that's the row. And then we're applying the function, the lambda function, the custom function to each row in turn, and turning what is usually not an array formula, a formula, average. And here you can see we had to copy it down, but with one formula now, I can get where I want it to be. Great.